I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Jasmine Crockett, the woman, the woman that Elon Musk and Republicans can't shut down. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let me first start off by saying I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, not liberal or conservative. I've never voted before. I like 70% of the things that Trump says and does. I disagree with 30% that Trump says and does. Jasmine Crockett. I like Jasmine Crockett. Now, we know that Donald Trump represents the Republican side. I like Donald Trump, 70% of what he says and does. Jasmine Crockett represents the Democrat side. I like Jasmine Crockett. So I'm praying and I'm hoping that Jasmine Crockett will be running for president for the year of 2028. So what we're going to be doing over here, we're going to be following Jasmine Crockett very close. Now, do I expect Jasmine Crockett to be perfect? No, I don't expect Jasmine Crockett to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. Donald Trump isn't perfect. So I don't expect Jasmine Crockett to be perfect. But I'm going to be following her, very close. Because like I said, I like Jasmine Crockett. I wish they would have let Jasmine Crockett run for the Democrat Party instead of Kamala Harris. Salute Marie. Salute Marie. And just a quick announcement for the meet and greet. If any of you all would like to come to this year's Rock Squad's third annual meet and greet, let me know. If you would like to come, but your money just not right, let me know. Let me know, and we'll see what we can do to try to help raise some funds to get you here. But that will be only for people that have been supporting the channel financially. If you are a member to my platform, if you have been purchasing super stickers and super chats, if you have been sending cash donations, then we will help if you want to come to this year's meet and greet. We will do what we got to do to help you get here, But back to this demonstration. Why is Jasmine Crockett, why can't Elon Musk and the Republicans shut her down? All right. Salute 80s, baby. Salute 80s, baby. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you like Jasmine Crockett. How many like Jasmine Crockett? Drop a 2 if you don't like Jasmine Crockett. Drop a 3 if you're unsure and if you don't know too much about Jasmine Crockett. Let me know. But I like Jasmine Crockett. I really like Jasmine Crockett. When it comes to producing receipts, she always have her receipts. Fact finding, she on top of that. She's unbothered. So for me, I would like to see her run. Okay, Marie says don't know who she is. Okay, I would like to see her run this year. Not this year. I would like to see her run in the year 2028 for president. I think Jasmine would have made a better candidate than Kamala Harris. Salute positive vibes. Salute positive vibes. But for those that don't know Jasmine Crockett and don't know too much about Jasmine Crockett, let's check her out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just in case I go over, I just wanted to note that the previous speaker went over by a minute. We've heard a lot about the fact that Democrats have been talking about Elon Musk. And let me give you a news alert. We're not going to stop talking about him. We're going to keep talking about him until he is out of here. Now, if he wants to be elected or appointed and confirmed to something, then so be it. But as of right now, we have somebody that, for whatever reason, I don't know if y'all just trying to play in our face because you think we're stupid, or if you literally just cannot see the difference in a George Soros and a Bill Gates. But let me give you a little bit of the difference. Number one, George Soros nor Bill Gates ever somehow decided to turn off the spigot of money that was going through to various organizations and agencies, to the extent that it had actually been ordered by law that they should have access to it, to the extent that people are dying. There are people that have died as a result of this antic, and there are now farmers that are screaming that they may lose their family farms because we have over $500 million worth of food that is sitting and not going anywhere because of the attempt to shut down USAID. So let me tell you, that is the big difference between the two of them. And let me also tell you that a big difference between Democrats and Republicans is that we don't just say we believe in the Constitution, but we walk it like we talk it. What does that mean? That means that if we believe in the Constitution, we don't just pick out the Second Amendment and say that it is limitless, nor do we pick out the First Amendment and say that it is limitless. The thing about the Constitution is that it has always been a balancing test. There are limits to this. And right now, what we continue to hear from a certain side of the aisle is that there are no limits to this lawlessness. In fact, there are limits. And I can tell you that one of those limits typically is around hate crimes. You may or may not know that when it comes down to it, if somebody decides that they want to send something hateful in, say, the U.S. mail, they can actually go to prison for that, up to 5 years in prison. So yes, there are always going to be limits. So when we start to talk about Trump and him being pulled down on any platform, this just happened to be after he incited an insurrection. This just happened to be after, in a bipartisan way, this particular chamber decided that they were going to impeach him. So there was something a little different about what he did, because as we know, it led to people actually dying. But let's talk about who's doing the nefarious things with the tech giants.
Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. Dirty South says, host scared of Elon. Stop right there. Drop a one. Drop a one if y'all agree with Jasmine so far. Drop a two if you disagree with her. You know, I agree with her. Like I said, when it comes to Elon Musk, now, will he be able to make some things happen? I'm sure he will. But once again, he wasn't hired. He wasn't elected. He wasn't voted in. He wasn't sworn in. He just was selected by Trump without going through the proper channels. And I've said it and I'll say it again. If the immigrants have to go through certain channels, if the immigrants have to do it the right way, then so should Elon. Why is he exempt? You know, why is Elon exempt?
Because I don't think that one side of the aisle is promoting truth, but sometimes it may seem a little treasonous. All right, so we've got this article right here about this guy. Meta says it will end its fact-checking program on social media posts. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Then we have Washington Post says it will not endorse a candidate for president. We also know that actually they absolutely intended to endorse Kamala Harris. We have this one. Google Maps now show Gulf of America instead of Gulf of Mexico for app users in the United States, which is a complete farce because it's the Gulf of Mexico. It always has been. And we know that the AP got kicked out yesterday because they refused to buy into this lie, because that's all y'all really want to promote is lies. That's the big issue that we have.
She said that's all they want to do is promote lies. Somebody talk back to me. She said that's all they want to do is promote lies. How do y'all feel? How do y'all feel? Oh, my bad, y'all. Experiencing audio technical again.
Elon Musk boosted false U.S. aid conspiracy theories to shut down global aid. Now, while he was boosting those lies about U.S. aid, and he was stopping money going for, say, things such as Head Start, somehow the only money that didn't stop was the money to him and his organization. Now, I don't know how you can have him be the watchdog as well as the guy that is literally living off of the government. If we want to talk about government welfare, it looks like Elon Musk, because it's my understanding that just on yesterday a new contract was approved.
Wow. 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 So y'all talk to me. How is it that he can stop other money? He could stop government money going to this group of people, this program, but how come the money that's coming to him hasn't been stopped? I mean, makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me.
For approximately $300 million for Elon Musk. So listen, I just want y'all to be honest. You want to sit here, you want to lie, because so often we hear, well, yeah, we did lie. In fact, he admitted that he lied when he was in the Oval Office yesterday. But if it's a lie that will get you into office, such as saying, I know nothing about Project 2025, yet on day one, you literally do everything that you can to implement it, including making sure that you put, say, one of the main architects of Project 2025 over the OMB, it's okay, so long as you get the power that you seek. The problem is that the game is going to be on the American people. And when I say the American people, I mean all of us. Unfortunately, I am also stuck in the twilight zone because of the lies that were allowed to be propagated. Just like when you're talking about vaccines and all this nonsense. Right now in my state of Texas, there is an outbreak of measles. And what they are finding is that because there's been so much disinformation about vaccines, that kids are sick right now with measles that they did not have to have if they just trusted doctors and experts instead of randoms online.
What are y'all thoughts now? What are y'all thoughts? She on point. She's on point. Y'all agree with her or do y'all disagree?
So I will end by saying this, Mr. Chairman, because I know we believe in Jesus in this chamber. In John 8:32, it says, the truth shall set you free.
What's y'all thoughts? Somebody talk to me. She was able to give us she was able to give us scriptures, and she backed it up. The truth shall set you free. See, this is what I like about her. This is what I like about her. She's very knowledgeable. And not only is she very knowledgeable, she's able to produce receipts. She's calling them out. She's calling them out. And they haven't had an answer for Jasmine Crockett yet. They haven't had an answer for Jasmine Crockett yet. Are y'all feeling Jasmine Crockett? Drop a 1 if y'all are feeling Jasmine Crockett.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I decided to do an IG live before I walked in. As you know, there's so many people that are in angst and very concerned with the current administration that has been in for a whopping 8 days. And just imagine, we've got to go through this for a total of 4 years. I think that today will probably mean more to my district than my last swearing in, because we are definitely living in scarier times. And so I am so elated and grateful, number one, to have another opportunity to serve, but more importantly, to be able to share in my swearing in for a second term with the people that send me to DC. And again, the only people that can fire me, regardless of how many other people around the country want me to be fired. I want my district to always know that they will always be my priority and they are always my focus, even when I can't physically be present, because if some of you noticed, I ended up traveling the country, doing my best to try to prevent what is happening right now. And so I am so grateful to my district, because in my absence, they still gave me the strongest numbers of any challenged Democrat or Republican in the state of Texas that was seeking re-election. It was a testament to what they believe I can accomplish and what it is that I was able to accomplish. So with that, that's just my few opening remarks, but I want to make sure I get to y'all's questions. I heard y'all know all the rules, so we can start with whoever wants to go first.
Representative, I'm Teresa Woodard from WFAA,
Yeah.
ABC station here in Dallas. I'd like to talk to you about this funding freeze.
Yeah.
This is money that Congress
Yeah.
approved.
Yeah.
So, Congresswoman, do you believe that what the president did is legal?
No, I don't. In short, I don't believe that the president has this authority. The president did say as he campaigned that he would be a dictator on day one. It sounds like he's going to continue to try his best to be a dictator. The reality is that we go through appropriations every single year.
Is Donald Trump, is that Donald Trump's ultimate goal, to be a dictator? Is that Donald Trump's ultimate goal, to be a dictator? George says she is making stuff up now. Travis says, as a second generation government employee, it needs to be cleaned up. If it is no shock and awe is only way. George says his goal is actual accountability. Is that the narrative that the Democrat Party and those that don't like Donald Trump, is it not so much of Donald Trump's trying to be a dictator, or is it that he's just trying to get people to take accountability? You know, why is it when it comes time for us to take accountability, why do we try to find all sorts of ways of getting out of us taking accountability? You know, you might be in a marriage, you might be in a relationship, and I hear this a lot from women. When it's time for a woman to take accountability, the first thing a woman will say is, my husband is trying to control me. My husband is trying to tell me what to do. It's not so much of the husband is trying to control the woman. It's not so much of the husband trying to tell the woman what to do. It's just a simple, the husband is trying to get the woman to take accountability. George says, in order to have accountability, there needs to be a freeze to make sure there is no fraud. Travis says, I see accountability. I just want to throw that out there, y'all.
And when we go through appropriations, number one, that is because there is only one body that has the power of the purse, and that is the Congress. It has to go through 535 people and then be signed into law by one president. And so we have monies that have been appropriated by law. And so no swipe of a pen can just delete that and stop that. And unfortunately, we have someone who has a Supreme Court that he handpicked that has definitely tested the bounds of law.
Drop a 3 if y'all agree with her. Drop a 4 if you disagree.
I think right now what we see is we have a president that is going to continue to push those bounds and test those bounds. And unfortunately, if this Supreme Court does not get it right, it will be disastrous for the Republic as a whole. The reality is that I was able to at least get a glimpse into how I feel like the Supreme Court will conduct themselves when it came down to the TikTok ban. Now, I know a lot of people feel a way about TikTok, but from a legal standpoint, at the end of the day, it was signed into law by Biden. And he was attempting to stop what had been signed into law and had been passed through both chambers. And in a 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court determined that he was unable to do that. So with that being said, if they keep up this type of energy, I think that we will see his attempt at getting rid of birthright citizenship, which if you are going to have any protections in this country, the strongest protections aren't even the fact that we pass a law. Our strongest protections arise out of our Constitution in and of itself. And so if you want to undo or change something in the Constitution, well, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot more than just passing a law. We've got to make sure that we have ratification. We've got to go to the states. The states will have to vote, and you got to get 2/3. So I don't think that anything is going to happen to our Constitution just yet, but it is scary that we have someone in the White House that absolutely does not care about the Constitution.
Now, I got mixed feelings when it comes to the Constitution. You know, I got mixed feelings when it comes to the Constitution. My opinion, my honest opinion, I do believe that there should be a new Constitution. I believe that there should be a new Constitution. I believe that some things that's some things that's in the Constitution, I believe that some of it is outdated. I think that it should be changed. I think so. For me, when Donald Trump speaks about going against the Constitution, or not so much going against the Constitution, but just doing away with it, I just feel like it's outdated. We got to remember how long ago the Constitution was written. I mean, 400 years? A little over 400 years? Times have changed. You know, times have changed. You know, it's a different day and time now. So, in my opinion, that's a big part of the American people's problem. That's a big part of the problem. We're still holding on to a constitution that was written over 400 years ago. Times have changed. It's like a relationship. You know, it's like you and your wife or you and your husband is in a relationship. Now, 40 years y'all been in this relationship. The husband still wants to stay doing the same things and wants to still go by the principles that y'all set in the very beginning 40 years ago. But the husband hasn't realized times changed. The husband is still treating the children like they are babies. And so whenever the husband make reference to the family and the children and everything, he's making reference to doing things that they done 40 years ago. Well, excuse me, sir. The children are no longer in the house no longer. So things that y'all went by when the children were in the house, the children are no longer in the house no more. Now, Mom Dukes, she want to walk around the house naked. Mom Dukes wants sexual relations all through the house. But Pops is still caught up on 20 years ago, 40 years ago when the children were in the house. So Pops is saying, baby, you can't walk around the house like that. Baby, we can't have sexual relations. What if the kids come downstairs? Do y'all get where I'm coming from? The Constitution, it's outdated. We ain't talking 40 years ago. We talking over 400 years ago when that Constitution was written. You got to remember now, when the Constitution was written, the melanated people, the Asiatic people, we were slaves. When the Constitution was written, the only immigrants that were in this country were the Caucasians, the Europeans, and those melanated people that were brought from other countries. So this is how the immigrants that are here now and coming now, you got to remember, those different nationalities wasn't here. You know, it's so much more that just needs to be updated when it comes to that Constitution. So in my opinion, I understand and I'm for Trump as far as that Constitution. And that's just my opinion. The Constitution needs to be updated, upgraded, or we just need to do away with the Constitution. And we can make things work without this Constitution. We are so stuck. We are so stuck and we're so comfortable with living a certain way. When it's time for change, we don't want to change. We think change is going to do us more harm than it is going to do us more good. In my opinion, change would only elevate us. Change will only evolve us and take us to the next level. That's just my opinion, y'all.
And does not care about the law, but we knew this. As the only convicted felon to occupy the White House, he's never had any respect for the law, and I honestly don't see him changing his tune anytime soon.
Now, I agree with her. I agree with her as far as Trump being a convicted felon, and, you know, he was elected as the president. I do agree with that. Why is it that the rest of America cannot get a job when we are convicted felons? So what's the exception for Trump? Now, as far as him disrespecting the law, I mean, the law disrespects itself. Those that supposed to uphold the law disrespects the law. I mean, and I agree with Travis. Why has this convicted felon never been sentenced? That's part of the 30% when it comes to Trump that I disagree with. He's a convicted felon. Why hasn't he been sentenced? George says her language is baited and the felonies were manufactured for political purposes. I get I get what you're saying, George. But at the end of the day, he was convicted.
Now, we'll see if he ends up running up against a bunch of Eileen Cannon judges who will just ignore the law. But as of right now, I can tell you that at least one district court judge in D.C. has decided that she was going to swipe down some of his attempts. That doesn't deal with everything, though. And to be perfectly honest, the White House is saying one thing while the OMB office is sending out different things. We also know that the Medicaid website went down. It just so happens that it's allegedly a glitch at the same time that we are saying that no, the OMB said that some of these things are not allowed to receive funding. So, Head Start, Meals on Wheels, SNAP benefits, LIHEAP.
I think the Head Start and the Meals on Wheels, I think that should stay. I disagree with Trump, for wanting to cut the Meals on Wheels and Head Start. Those two programs, I believe, should definitely stay. And that's Head Start and Meals on Wheels. I believe that those two should stay.
Rural electric funds, all these things are in limbo, as well as infrastructure projects where people literally made contracts knowing that they were getting this money. And so I am applauding those attorney generals in states that are democratically controlled, because those are the attorney generals that have decided to come together. And frankly, if the Republican states are not interested in seeking out the funds that I'm sure Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, the funds that I'm sure that they really need more than some of these other states, then frankly, that's okay. If they don't want their money, then don't get it.
Now, this is what I will say about Jasmine Crockett. Salute Sagas. Sagas says she's behind. Not correct. This is one thing that I will say. I hope that if Jasmine Crockett was to become the next president, I hope that she would be able to back up her words. I hope that she would do like Donald Trump has done. I hope that once and if she did get in office, I will hope that, like Trump, everything that Trump said he would do, besides lowering grocery prices and stuff like that, but for the most part, he done the majority of the things that he said he was going to do when he got in office. So I'm just hoping that Jasmine, if she was elected as the president, I'm hoping that she will follow through as well and do the majority of the things that she say she would do. George says this is called radical diatribes for political purposes. I know I messed that word up, but I mean, she talk a good game. I'm going to give her that. You know, I like what she says. But my thing is, it's one thing to say these things when you're not in office compared to getting in office and fulfilling the things that you said you was going to do. Phil says this man thinks Dems are going to get into power. Ha ha ha.
We'll take it off. Next.
And I would imagine you're getting a lot of calls from your constituents now. Have you talked to anyone locally? Have they been told anything about how this would directly impact?
My whole career, I was pretty much bald, so people just
What are y'all
kept knowing me
thoughts?
as being a bald guy. I did wonder what it would be like if I could have hair.
When you have different.
And I would imagine you're getting a lot of calls from your constituents now. Have you talked to anyone locally? Have they been told anything about how this would directly impact them?
Yeah. No, I've not talked to anyone myself. Thank God for my staff. I've not talked to anyone directly. I just know that I've been receiving, if it's someone that has my personal cell phone number, I've been receiving panicked texts about everything, from birthright citizenship to whether or not, I mean, even when I got my hair done today, as y'all know, I had braids, and I don't anymore. But even my hairstylist was very concerned and was asking questions. So everyone is paying attention. So I will say that he's awakened everyone to the extent that they're paying attention to government. But right now, I'm going to be honest, this administration is sending out mixed signals. At the end of the day, whichever signals they're sending out, I personally believe from my legal training that all of it is illegal, regardless of which mixed signals they're sending out. And the question is how quickly we can get into court and whether or not we will have more judges that are more loyal to Trump, or if they are more loyal to the Constitution and the oath that they swore.
That's what I said, y'all. When it comes to Trump, now, it's one of those situations, damned if you do, damned if you don't. In my opinion, that's the position that Donald Trump is in. Damned if he do, damned if he don't. Anything that he does illegal, of course, they gonna be on him. Why shouldn't they be on things that he done illegal. But then the things that he does legal, they still try to find a way to make the things that he do legal. They try to find a way to make it to be illegal. We got to remember what this country was built on. And this is why, for me, this is why I said get rid of that Constitution or either update it, upgrade it. Why? Because you got to remember, and I know some of y'all, it hurts for me to say this, but you got to remember what this country was founded on. This country was founded on murder, kidnapping, extortion, lies. So you can't, when a president get in office such as Trump, a president that you don't like, Obama was under the same banner. Obama done some of the same things that Trump is doing. The whole immigration. Obama was on that, but nothing was said about it when Obama was doing it. So why does Trump get singled out? That's why, once again, you got to get rid of this Constitution. And that's all Trump is saying. Now, if it was Obama saying get rid of the Constitution, if it was the Biden saying get rid of the Constitution, then it wouldn't be that much noise. But because Trump is going against certain things in the Constitution, Trump is trying to rewrite the Constitution. It's a problem. Look what he's trying to do. Look what he's trying to do. I'll say it again. You got to remember what the country was founded on. And we know in order to cure, in order to solve any problem, you got to go to its root. You can't put a Band-Aid over an open wound. There's no way in the world the wound is going to heal if you put that Band-Aid over it. You got to get to the core of it. If you suffering from a disease, and this is why so many die from diabetes, heart failure, cancer, and other terminal and other disease, because instead of getting to the root of the disease and tackling it from the root, we go to put a Band-Aid over it. Well, I think, if you take this medication, but let's get to the root of the problem. That's what Trump is doing. He's getting to the root of the problem. The Constitution is America's biggest problem. I'll say it again. This Constitution was written over 400 years ago. Times have changed. So you can't use that Constitution that was written over 400 years ago. You cannot use it today and expect it to work for the American people. This is the problem. So Trump is not so much of disrespecting the Constitution. He's not so much trying to be a dictator. He's just saying, look, let's correct these problems and then move forward. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I've never heard a president go to war for all Americans the way Trump does. I've never seen another president. Jimmy Carter, but besides Jimmy Carter, I've never seen a president, Kennedy, but I wasn't around during Kennedy time. So I'm just speaking on the presidents that was in while I was alive. I was born in the 70s. But Trump is the only president, in my opinion, that fights for all of us. That's just my opinion.
Congresswoman, I'm Dave Tampert from Dallas Voice.
Yes.
Downstairs neighbor. As a strong advocate for civil rights, what do you see as the most urgent legislative priority to protect the LGBT community, especially after some of these horrible executive orders that have come out this week?
Yeah, so I do want to be clear about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I think that that's really a good place to start. And I always talk to my colleagues, because every time they say quote unquote DEI, it's always now like their new slur for Black folk, just to be perfectly honest. But diversity, equity, and inclusion includes so much more than that, right? It includes making sure that we're looking at people that are within the LGBTQIA community and making sure that they have protections. It's looking at making sure that those that come from rural America have protections. It's looking at women. It's looking at our uniquely abled citizens. It is looking at basically making sure that we are not just old straight white men. That's it. And it's making sure that everyone has an opportunity. It's making sure that those governmental agencies look like who we are in this country. And so I think that that probably has to be the most urgent thing, because I think that it is all encompassing, and it's looking at our civil rights as a whole. In addition to the fact that what we're experiencing is they went after our education with the affirmative action decision. This is kind of a bleed over, but this all goes to economics, right? At a time in which we still can't get anyone to agree to raise the minimum wage, which hasn't been raised in probably close to 20 years now that we're going on, we see that the billionaire class is continuously, overnight, just making more and more money. I mean, the richest man in the world literally made like another $200 billion like in the few days after the election. Right?
But see, that go both ways. You can't just say the only millionaires and the only billionaires is Republicans. You can't just say that, because there are billionaires and millionaires that are Democrats. Okay, as she stated, minimum wage. What did the Democrats do for minimum wage? I mean, JL says that was racist. All straight white men. And if so, what would be wrong with that? I mean, like I said, you can't just base it on, oh, Trump's a billionaire, he's a millionaire, he's Republican, and he's only making it better, he's only making it rich for his people. Well, what about the Democrats? It's nowhere in the world that minimum wage should be what it is today. It's nowhere in the world.
Right? And so what we've got to do is make sure that, number one, we're not allowing people to divide us, because I will be honest, we were divided in this election about trans folk. That's just a reality. And then Democrats started falling apart about trans folk because they felt as if it was seeping through. The reality is that when we start to talk about trans folk make up probably less than they make up less than 1% of who we are in this country. But if you allow them to divide us over trans rights, then they can divide us over immigration, which they did that as well. It's the division that is killing us. And the reality is that it's not really about whether or not you agree, like it, love it, or understand it. It's about understanding that this is supposed to be the land of opportunity and the land of the free for all. And so we've got to stand together. So the one plea that I will have is that I want us to stand together. Let's stand with our LGBTQIA community.
Let's stop right there. Salute Sages. Salute Sages. Tracy says agreed. Travis says agreed. That door swing both ways. See, once again, here's the thing when it comes to the accountability part. We want to stand with the trans community. Yeah, but it's some things that the trans community has to understand, that it go both ways. Just because you're transgender doesn't mean if you are participating in something that is wrong, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be held accountable. It's no way in the world. I'll say it and I'll keep saying it until everybody gets it. It's no way in the world that a male that's born with a man's instrument between his legs, it's no way that that transgender, that man, should be playing in a all-female sport. And if you disagree with that, then you are part of the problem. And if you are a transgender man, with an instrument of a man between your legs, or was born with it and got it chopped off. If you can't understand why you shouldn't be playing in a sport with all females, you are part of the problem. See, this is when the devil comes in and take control. See, the devil got into Adam and Eve's head. And even though God gave them a law that he told them, do not break. Even though God told Adam and Eve what they shall not do, the devil came in and twisted it. And that caused Adam and Eve to be kicked out of the Garden of Eden. It's no way getting around that. Right, Sages. There are two genders made by God. Why is this even an argument? It's something. That's what I'm saying. Some things when it comes to Trump, all right, we can discuss. But this transgender men playing in all female sports, everybody should be like, that's wrong. If the transgenders men want to play these sports, why won't they start their own league? Let them have their own league. That's an embarrassment to men. That's an embarrassment that a man will want to get in a boxing ring and fight and box a female. That's an embarrassment.
Let's stand with our immigrant community. Let's stand with black folk. Let's stand with women. Let's stand together, because there's more of us than there are of the select few that are pushing this white supremacy agenda.
Even though I agree with what she's saying about the white supremacist image, I get where she's coming from. However, just because I'm a black man, that don't make me free of accountability. Just because you are a woman, whether it's a white woman, a black woman, regardless of what, just because you are a woman, that doesn't make you free of accountability. Just because you are a trans, that don't make you free of accountability. And we can't just say, okay, only the white men, only the white supremacist men are supposed to be held to these high standards. Whether we agree with white supremacist men and women or not, we still can't only expect them to be held accountable for things. But, because I'm a black man, I shouldn't be held accountable. Oh, because I'm a woman, I shouldn't be held accountable. I should be able to do what I want to do. Only the white supremacist men and women are supposed to be held to the law and held to these high standards. Everybody else, we can do what we want to do. That's not how it goes. We all are supposed to be held accountable.
We cannot get caught up in it. And when you look back at the playbook of Hitler, when you look back at the playbook of the KKK, it never was just about black people. It's the exact same people that they're pointing fingers at and that they went after. And so I am encouraging everyone to stand together.
Congresswoman, you mentioned the last 8 days has been a lot of information, and while you're a great messenger for the Democrats.
But enough about us. Without further ado, let's get started. Why should you publish?
What are y'all thoughts? That's how I feel about the situation, y'all. I feel like we as a society, I feel like we as men, women, transgenders, regardless of nationalities, I feel like we all have to take accountability. I feel like we all should be held to accountability. Just because I'm a melanated man, that don't mean for me to go out here and act a fool and do things that I know is wrong. Vice versa. Just because you are a woman, that don't give you a right to go out here and jump in a man's face, hit a man. Or that don't give you the right just because you're a woman to go out here and act a fool, walk down the street half naked. Oh, I'm a woman. They should be able to control their hormones. That's not how this thing goes. And as a society, as a nation, that's where we're at now. No accountability because of genders, because of race, because of all of the above. We don't have to take accountability. I mean, when are we going to take accountability? Now, like I said before, I'm liking Jasmine, but now I'm starting to hear some things. I'm starting to hear some things from her. Like Trump, I got 30% that I disagree with Trump. Now with Jasmine, with that statement, it's 5%. 95%, I'm with Jasmine Crockett. 5%, I disagree with. I'm not feeling it. And I'm not feeling what she just said. You know, like I said, just because you got white supremacist men and women, believe it or not, they are entitled to feel how they feel. And I'm not defending them and I'm not taking up for them, but that's their right. If they want to be white supremacists, that's their right. But they shouldn't be held to a higher standard just because we don't believe as they believe. Okay, they white supremacists, so they got to be held to this standard. Okay, that's a transgender, so we can drop the bar because it's a transgender, and we got to stand with the transgender because of the transgender. No, that's not how this thing works. We all got to be here. We all got to be here. Once again, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Catch me on the Shank Rock. That's my main channel. Catch me at 5 p.m. on the main channel. And make sure y'all subscribe to my third backup channel, Rock Squad. Make sure y'all subscribe to my other backup channel, Rock Squad. But I catch y'all at 5 p.m. on the main channel, Shank Rock. Salute.